Move on to actual cooking because I want to spend some good time with you all tonight and answer any questions about one of my favorite ways to entertain, because I'm going to move the keyboard out of the way and get down to the food piece, and show you one of the coffee cakes. Oh, I just grabbed, you can't see what I just grabbed. I just grabbed the server with my elbow. That was impressive. I made the gluten-free coffee cake today in a loaf pan too, because I wanted to test it in that pan. So if you don't have an 8x8 pan, you can use this as well. Okay, so it worked, and it just added about another 10 minutes to the baking time of it. I think it went close to 40 minutes instead of 30-ish minutes. And so here's what we're going to do tonight. We are going to talk about quiche. We're going to get the crust in the oven, and we're going to have a funny story around that. Then we are going to get the coffee cake going, and then we'll finish cooking off the ingredients for the quiche and get that baking. And so hopefully, oh, yay, Sandy, that's terrific. Okay, so Sandy, I'm even going to give you a heads up. If you want to start creaming your butter and your sugar, because I kind of cheated and started that. So while I'm talking about crust for quiche, you can start doing that part. And if you have everything else out measured, then terrific. You can even go so far as adding the eggs and the vanilla if you want, okay? So go for it. In the meantime, we're gonna have some fun and some laughs, because let's talk about quiche, which I was dying to do because I always do frittatas, which are basically crustless quiches, right? You can do frittatas in an omelet pan or a fry pan skillet, and you can start cooking the eggs, and then you let them just sit. You put it in the oven, and it finishes baking in the oven. So you can saute veggies, potatoes, bacon, anything you like, and put it in a frittata, and then you pour the eggs on that, and you let it set up, right? A quiche is just, the only thing different about it is that it has a shell, so you can eat it in its crust, right? Maybe a little more portable. You can carry your quiche around. And I've been dying to show you a couple different ones because of crust. And, oh, can you not hear me, Stephanie? Can you all hear me? Is everybody else okay? Let's just get a thumbs up before I keep talking. Okay, all right. Yes, great. Maybe, Stephanie, if you're using earbuds or something like that, sometimes that's the problem. Or they automatically hook up to your earbuds even if you're not using them. I've had that happen as well. So, because I've been gluten-free so long, I haven't really been making quiches forever, but I got this crazy craving for one, and that's why I decided I needed to show you. So here's what I wanted to do. I wanted to show you a couple different things. I did one in a gluten-free crust, and I have to say, if I was on America's Test Kitchen, I would be like, I mean, I'll just start with this. Gluten is a protein, actually. And the reason gluten is so great in bread is because it's structured like this, like threads. And so you can stretch it and it holds, right? When you don't use gluten in your pastries and you use other kinds of flours, they don't have that hold. And so look at it, it's so crumbly. Can you guys see? I'll put the camera down. Oh, it's still warm on the bottom, but see, this crust just kind of broke off, right? But I wanted to show you for a couple reasons. One is, there's no shame in buying pastry crust that's already made, right? So these are so convenient because you can get them with regular pastry dough, regular pie dough, or gluten-free in the frozen section. And they're raw, and you just have to bake them off for a few minutes beforehand, okay? Without the pastry or without the eggs in it, because otherwise the pastry will be really soggy on the bottom. So I took this as an experiment today, and I took this gluten-free pie crust shell, and I put, I'm going to show you because we're going to do it. I did what we call blind baking. And, oh, hi, Debbie, Denise, welcome. Oh, I'm so glad we have new people. This is so exciting. Welcome to House of Haas. Let us know about you, where you're from, and if you're cooking along with us or if you're just hanging out tonight. So you can ask me questions at any time, okay? Hi, KQ, how are you? Okay, so blind baking a crust just means that you're going to bake it without anything in it so that you can start to cook the dough without it, so it'll crisp up a little bit and not get soggy when you add wet ingredients, right? But in order to do that, sometimes depending on the type of dough, it's going to puff up underneath. And so you have to weight it down. So you take a piece of parchment paper and then you fill it with either dried beans or rice, or fancy pie weights that they'll sell you at a great store. I'm not naming names, my former employer, where they're reusable pie weights. And I don't even know what they're made of, but they look like little round circles like this, and they're weighted. And you just drop them on the parchment paper, and then you bake it for about 10 minutes with this in it, and it weighs that crust down, so it's not going to puff up and get weird, right? And then you take it out. And I actually ended up baking this one a little bit more because there's so much butter in the gluten-free pie crust. They're doing anything to make it taste good too, that it looked a little too wet. So I cooked it off for a few more minutes before I let it cool, and then I put the egg filling in, okay? So we're just talking about being flexible tonight and how you do these recipes, because since I bounce in and out of gluten-free land so much, I always want people to have the option, okay? Questions so far? Ceramic, thank you, Denise. Ceramic pie weights. You guys, I have to acknowledge too, I really have lost my sight. When I was on the airplane for 17 hours flying to Singapore, I've never been on a flight that long in my life. I couldn't see with my reading glasses, and my eyes were so tired, I couldn't read. And then I can't see far away or close by now. So it's time for me to go get real glasses. People, I hate it when people are like, oh, when you turn 50, this is going to happen. Sadly, they were totally right about my eyesight. So Denise, if I keep calling you Debbie, it's only because from here, it's a little bit blurry for me, okay? But again, like I said, you guys can always ask me questions. If I don't catch it in the comment section, you can always do it in the ask a question section. And then I get a little pointer at the bottom to go back and check it later, okay? So we're going to let this one cool, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about it. But first, we're going to have a laugh about other pie crusts, because look what happened to me next, and why I was insisting on showing you how to use the dough yourself instead of just buying that shell, because I wanted to show you how to roll it out well, right? And to convince you that you don't need, you can use a pie dish, and why it's better than this, right? So this is a tart pan, a French tart pan, and the bottom comes out. Why do we like these? Because it has this beautiful fluted edge, and leave it to the French to have discovered something that is complicated and fancy. Nothing against the French. I studied there. It's my second language. Well, half second language. And so the thing that's cool about this is that you can push things out like this, a pie or a tart, and then serve it. And then you're able to cut on this too, right? So you can take this straight to a cake stand, or anything like that. So you get the beautiful fluted edge, but if you've done your pastry well, and nothing bakes onto this rim, then you can just pop it right out. So I wanted to show you this, but here are the pitfalls of these, is if you have any cracks in your pastry, or it's too short, it can fall down under here and leak. So the other night, I was messing around on Instagram showing you guys, I think, my second test, and it was leaking out the bottom as I was carrying it to the oven. So the other thing you want to be really careful of when you're working with tart pans is that you put them on a surface. You can put them on a baking sheet, which I'm going to do. Oh, actually, the baking sheet I want to put it on is in the oven. And then I'm going to put a piece of parchment underneath it. So let's say anything spills out, then it's going to catch it, right? Okay. So now here's the other funny part, is that I ordered more pie dough to be delivered today. And you know, they notify you, this was delivered to my house. I just was that lazy. I wanted to stay home and do all of my cooking. And they gave me puff pastry and not pie dough. I didn't see that they had that marked as the alternative. And so this isn't even the thing you'd really want to use. But we're going to make it work, because that's what we do. This is going to be more of a food challenge. So let me grab it. And the joke about, well, first of all, I love puff pastry. Let me just start there, okay? Puff pastry is like croissant dough. So it's made with flour and butter and salt and water. And let me see if theirs has anything else in it. Not that I'd be able to read it. Butter. Butter comes before flour. That's how much butter is in this, right? And then they have some preservatives in here. Malted barley flour, weird. Folic acid, I'll take that. A little lemon juice, okay. But the thing is about puff pastry, if you've ever made it, you make it by doing this layer of flour with butter, and you start to fold it and you roll it, and then you fold it again and you roll it, and then you fold it back and you roll it. So what happens is that you just keep rolling and folding. So over time, you basically are flipping the flour and butter on top of each other a million times. So you get all of these layers of butter and flour, all these. Oh, I literally thought something was on fire. That was my, I don't know what that alarm was for. It scared me. So then what happens is that when you put it, when it's cold and you put it in the hot air, it puffs up, right? So that's how you get those flaky doughs, croissants, like the baked fritters at the, not the fried ones, but the pomme chausset, those apple ones that they do, and all of those beautiful flaky baked goods, right? They're from this. This is not meant to be pie dough. You know why? Because it's going to puff up too much. So normally you can work with puff pastry and you roll it out and you get it really cold, and then you put your things right on it and you bake it straight away. Sandy, you lost the picture? Never joined live before now. Vicky, hello. So you lost the picture of what? Oh, that's so weird. Is anybody else having problems? You guys, everything looks good on my side, but I'm not saying something weird isn't happening. So here's what I'm going to do. The purpose of using this puff pastry is twofold. I want to show you how to roll out any pastry and how to put it in this pan. Then I'm going to chill it really fast. We want to put it in the oven cold. And then we'll put the pie weights on it and we'll see what happens. I think it's still going to be a little puffy, so it's going to look strange, right? But it's going to taste really good. Okay, so I'm going to move the camera. There we go. Ta-da! And get it going here. Okay, I'm so sorry some people are having problems. Sometimes it's, it's a home network thing. I upgraded all of my Wi-Fi stuff, so I really hope it's not on my side. Okay, this is a ton of puff pastry, first of all. But yeah, if you guys are still having problems later, I'll go back and look at the recording. Hopefully, sorry, I'm thinking, which is always dangerous. Hopefully it won't be a problem. That's too much. I want to do this, okay? So I'm just trying to show you one thing about when you roll out any kind of dough, okay? And that it's really important that it's not sticking to the surfaces. And so you want to be able to move it around. But the thing is, guys, you want to keep your fingers off the dough as much as possible. And so, because when you touch it, it gets warmer and then it becomes more fragile and it's not going to puff up as well and all those things. So try to touch it as little as possible, or try to touch it on the outside. I'm just going to roll. And with traditional pie dough, it's stickier than this. So we're kind of cheating. And since I'm going to end up making this circular, bear with me. But you want to be able to turn it about 1/4 to 1/8 of a turn as you thin it out, right? And anytime it won't allow you to do that, it means you need to add more flour on the bottom here. So this is looking really good because it's already fairly thin as well. And it's way more forgiving than regular pie dough. So, but I love pie dough because it's so flaky. Like I love those pieces that break off when you eat it. This is just a completely different situation. So I'm just looking at it because I want it to be pretty darn thin. And I want to be able to line this whole pan with it and trim off any extra. And it's still, I need a little more length. So I want this to be a little bit longer. I'll come back towards me. Normally I only roll away from me. Which just gives you a little bit more forward motion, right? A little bit easier. I got this pre-made pastry, Chris, at, this one was delivered to me from Whole Foods, but they also sell it here at Safeway. This is called Dufour. It's probably the most popular brand out there that's, I don't want to say totally fancy schmancy, but it is a little bit. It's probably, I think it's like $8 or $9 for this big piece. And if you were doing like cheese twists, cheese puffs, or little canapé with it, it would make probably 2 or 3 dozen of whatever you wanted to do. So you don't need a lot. Okay, let's see if this looks like a good enough size. Yes, because what I want, it needs to be able to come up, right, on the sides. So now I'm going to work really quickly, friends. And I'm going to put it in there. Oh, it's so pretty. Gosh, I love dough. And you want to push it down around the sides, right? We're going to trim off any extra, and I'm going to show you my favorite trick for that. So you don't want there to be a big gap. Can you see how this is kind of like, I just did what I was telling you about. This part's like draped. It's not pushed down in there. And now the little thingy. We want it to like, you want to lift it up and make sure that it's kind of straight down so that it really gets in all of those ridges when you go press it in there, okay? And it's okay to use your hands like this. I'm going to show you what happens when you get some holes. Again, it's getting warm kind of quickly. And so it's much more prone to cracking. You want to be really careful. Like I can see that there's a little hole right here. Guess what else, you guys, whether it's this dough or pie dough, it's okay to do exactly that. Just go patch it, okay? This normally an egg wash helps it stick better. But I'm just making sure that it's pressed in really nicely around the sides here, okay? And then what I'm going to do is show you all another really fun trick. If you wanted to with pie dough, you could fold it back on itself underneath the rim so it's a little bit thicker. I'm just doing kind of like a single rim. And then watch this. I'm going to just roll over this, and it acts like a cutter. Then look at all of this extra dough you've got, which I can roll up in a ball, refrigerate, and then roll it out to do for something else, right? So I've got this, and that is like golden. I'm going to have to make something for my son who came home. I'll move the camera up really fast so I can say hi. My son came home. My older son just came home from college for a long weekend because of March Madness. And his dad and brother and he went to see University of Arizona play in Sacramento, and they lost today. So he called me and I said, "Are you having a good time?" And he said, "No." I have to laugh because he's like, "No, my team lost." I'm going to refrigerate this for a few minutes, get it really cold. In fact, I'm going to pop it in the freezer, okay? Stephanie, it is in the freezer section. You can get it through Fresh Direct. That's so, yeah, Chris, major bracket buster, big upset. And you know what's funny? I went into today thinking, I don't know if they're going to win. I didn't play a bracket. I didn't do anything. I love basketball. I have a really hard time watching sports because I get very invested in everyone's stories. And so I watched 30 seconds of that game. We were up by 5 after the half, and then we were down by 1 with a minute and a half left, and I just came right back to my kitchen. I don't do it well. I'm really good when I go to games, but I get really into it. And so, yeah, I kind of steered clear of it. Okay, I'm going to speed this chilling process up and pop it in the freezer, okay? Let's put it somewhere stable. It has to be on a flat surface. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to just clean up my mess a little bit here before we move on to the next thing. And why don't we get the coffee cake in the oven too? The best part is that the coffee cake, the puff pastry is going to bake. The shell by itself, I would probably do it a little higher. And in the recipe I gave you for the pie dough, normally they tell you to bake it blind, like we're going to do, at 400 instead of 350, which is fine because what's happening is you're just trying to bake it, like kind of get a barely brown surface on it. And you're not cooking it for so long, so you don't have to worry about it burning. But I'm going to put mine in at 350 along with the coffee cake, and it's going to be okay. We're not going to sweat it because this is basically a crazy science experiment anyhow with the puff pastry, right? So any good results I'll be happy with. I'm just putting my puff pastry aside like this, and I'll chill it so that I'll probably make something. I was starting to say for my boys tomorrow with it. You can do like tarts. I could do like little pizza tarts with it. The other thing is you can pull it out into strips, roll it, cut it into strips like this big, put a little egg wash, sprinkle Parmesan cheese on it, and then twist it. And then they're little breadsticks, and they are delightful. In fact, I have to throw a party for my younger son's basketball team next weekend, and I might have to do that. Puff pastry is just fun. We might need a class on puff pastry, friends. do not let me forget too, we have the winners for our giveaways for tonight. So if those of you who are new, you were entered, if you just signed up, you were entered for a giveaway tonight of a piece of Le Creuset in matte navy. And for our VIPs, you were entered to win a piece of Le Creuset in matte navy. And so Caitlin was pulling those winners for me, and she waited until, pastry is love, she waited until the very last minute to look in case anybody signed up at the last minute. So she's going to send me those winners. And then we're all set with those. I see some comments. Deb, I'm sorry you had computer problems. Bracket buster. Yes, all the fun. Okay, so let's move on. And we're gonna whip out this amazing, amazing coffee cake, which I'm obsessed with. So in case you didn't see it yet, here is the version of it baked in a loaf pan. Yes, maybe I ate 2 thick pieces already. It's so delicious. But today we're going to make it in the pan that it calls for, which is an 8x8 loaf pan, or baking pan, okay? A lot of people call this a brownie pan. I want to encourage you to do one of 2 things. Measure it, because it doesn't work in a 9x9. A 9x9 is big enough to make it too thin. And so I adapted this recipe from one that I found online, and I put her name in it. I think it's Sally. Is it Sally? And I was so impressed with her recipes. You have to go follow her and check her out. Sally McKenney. She's just all about baking. And so when I'm trying to adapt a recipe, sometimes I'll start, like, I didn't know anything about gluten-free coffee cake, but I've been asked for one for so long. So what I like to do is I go and I look for a recipe that's regular, right? Not gluten-free, and see what people do and look at measurements. And then I like to make it my own. And so I started with her recipe, and on my first pass, I used gluten-free all-purpose flour instead of regular all-purpose flour. And I used my dang pumpkin pie spice, which won't seem to leave my house. You know, what they call pumpkin pie spice is cinnamon, nutmeg, ginger. What else is in there? Allspice, cinnamon, nutmeg, ginger, cloves. And so it's basically the warm spices you want to put in pumpkin pie, apple pie, any of those warm fall fruit combinations. But someone just got smart and called it pumpkin pie spice and started selling it in the spice section. So I have gobs of that. And so I used that instead. The other thing I did is that hers also calls for, on top of the crumble, you can add confectioner's glaze, and I can't remember what else is in there. Maybe some flavoring and some water, so it's like a glaze on top of the crumble. I think it's sweet enough the way it is, and I'm always trying to simplify things for you all. So I didn't do it with that. I also did a version where I mixed a half a cup of freeze-dried blueberries in it. It got the thumbs down. But that was from my son and my friend who doesn't like fruit in her food. I thought they were delicious. You could absolutely use fresh blueberries too, or you could use frozen ones. Toss in a little bit of flour because that keeps them from like leaking out so much if you're using frozen ones, okay? So someone is asking, how is my parchment paper staying so nicely in the pan? Stephanie, I folded it so it would fit. And here's the purpose of the parchment in a recipe like this. Once it cools, you can just kind of make sure that it's not sticking to the sides, and then you lift it out to cut it, which is so great. If it's sticky or you don't use parchment paper, don't worry about it. You can just cut it in the pan, right? This kind of ensures you don't have one practice piece to try to like dig it out of the pan. So I like to do this when I can. And, you know, I order parchment sheets that are already cut. I have them on my website under my shopping page, I think on Amazon, but I order like 200 sheets at a time. They're very inexpensive. And I go through them like crazy because I put them on all my sheet pans for like roasting veggies and all of those things. So here's what we're going to do. I like that I have flour already on my new shirt. This is from Bali. Michael Franti, the musician whose resort it was. This is one of his new songs, Happy is the New Sexy, which I think is the funnest idea for a song ever. But if I don't get it dirty, then that means I wasn't having any fun with you all, right? So if you're cooking along, if you're baking along with me, I just want to see who, I think just one of you is that right? I want to tell you what I've done so far, right? So, oh, and I forgot to show you too that I'm working on merchandise. And can we see it? It's too small. This says Amanda Haas Cooks, but I'm doing House of Haas merchandise. and I'm getting House of Haas aprons. So I'm trying out some logos and things. So in my KitchenAid mixer, just gonna bend down like this. Here's what we're doing. We're creaming the butter and the sugar together. The butter is already softened. So it's 8 tablespoons of softened butter. And I can't remember, is it 3/4 cups of sugar? Oh, I'm about to tell you. 2 large egg, 3/4 cups granulated sugar. And after that's nice and fluffy, we're gonna add 2 eggs and vanilla extract. And then we're gonna mix in sour cream and then our dry ingredients, which are, wait for it, gluten-free flour in this case, but if you're just using all-purpose, that's fine. Baking soda, baking powder, and salt. If we want to get down that road of why baking soda and baking powder, I meant to read more about this before. I can't remember in cooking school. One of them works well with acids like buttermilk and sour cream. And when used together with one of those acids, it makes things even like fluffier. So I listen to what the bakers tell me, and boy, was she right on this one. It's absolutely delicious. So those are the 4 dry ingredients. We're going to fold those in, and then you just add a little bit of milk to kind of thin it out. And then for the streusel part, if you're cooking along with me, I want to show you. Let's actually just do this together really fast. Yeah, the apron, Chris. If you guys know Headley and Bennett, they're pretty amazing aprons. They're not inexpensive, but they're the kind of thing where you'll own it forever. And I want to get some as giveaways for you all and for our VIPs. And then I guess I'll sell them as well. I'm just trying to figure out how to do it where everyone can get one. Or if you hire me for a private cooking class on here, like a corporate event, that you'd start getting my aprons too. Or at least the person who led the party would get one included in the price of the event. So if you guys didn't hear that this week too, I am going to be doing classes, private classes online. So team building, corporate stuff, which I've done before, which I love, up to 30 people, I think will be my max. Or if you want to do it, throw a party for someone and you don't all live in the same place and you want to do something together. There'll be 90-minute classes. We're going to have an absolute ball. We'll be posting suggested like menus that you could do or recipes that you could pick from, but you could basically do any kind of theme that you want and we'll work to make it work. But it's 90 minutes with yours truly. We're going to have a blast. So I'm really excited about that. And if you work for a company who wants to do team building and you don't feel like getting drunk with everybody, that's what my friend was saying. She's like, I'm so tired of in-person events where you just go to a bar and you party. I know a lot of people are, shying away from in-person things still. And so it's a great excuse to get together with people and have a good time. So what I was doing while I was chatting away is that I had 6 tablespoons of cold butter that I cut into cubes, some brown sugar, some more of that gluten-free flour, and that pumpkin pie spice blend. I think Sally's recipe calls for 2.5 teaspoons. I just did like 2 aggressive teaspoons, right? 2 kind of heaping teaspoons. Because when I tasted it the first time, if you did a tablespoon, it wouldn't be too much. But all you're doing is using your fingers, or you can use forks if you don't like this, to break the butter down into pea-size pieces. Okay, so it's okay if there are some big lumps because this is what the streusel is going to be. And it is so good. I get really excited about food that works. Okay, so let's do this. I'm going to move my stool out of the way. And I just want to make sure, I'm going to show you along the way what this looks like. And then I'll put my camera back down here when we assemble it, okay? Because it's going to have a layer of streusel in the middle and also on top. So that's what makes this extra delicious. Okay, so I already started creaming my butter and sugar. So I'm going to show you what it looks like. And then we'll keep adding ingredients. We're going to add the eggs and the vanilla. I actually did this pretty aggressively before you all came on here. And so, they always say until fluffy, it kind of settled down at the bottom. When I add the eggs, it's going to fluff up some more, okay? All right, so I already measured out my things as well. So I've got my eggs. I'm living fast and dangerous tonight. I'm going to crack them right into here. one at a time and just hope no shell goes in. I did it. I like to do them one at a time to allow them to incorporate a little bit better. It's just they incorporate more smoothly, kind of faster. Like if you put both in at the same time or a bunch of eggs, it gets kind of messy pretty fast. There we go. Keep that one going. And then I'm going to add the vanilla to this, which was, I think, this is 2 teaspoons of vanilla. In you go. I look for pure vanilla extract. It's expensive. It's right now it's particularly expensive, but the difference in flavor I think is worth it. To soften the butter, I do have a trick. Let me get this in the oven and I'll tell you, Stephanie. Remind me to come back if I don't mention it. I'm just scraping down the sides and scraping up off the bottom, because what you don't want, you guys, is to discover that when you pour this into the pan, there was this whole other layer of butter and sugar on the bottom of your mixer or any bowl. So make sure you stop and wipe out whatever bowl you're using. Then I'm going to add the sour cream, which is 1/2 of a cup. This is looking smooth. Let me get that butter off of there, though. See how that's kind of lumpy still? It's just stuck. A whisk attachment would probably have been better here. I just had this one right in front of me, and it worked just fine. I'm kind of a lazy chef, but I think that's a good thing. I just don't fuss over the details, you know? It's going to taste great. Okay. Rinse my pan. Back down it goes. And we want to make sure this all looks really well mixed together, because I'm going to add the dry ingredients to this next and then just finish it off with a little milk. We don't want to overwork the dry ingredients, so this needs to look good and nice and smooth before the flour goes in. Patience. Oh, that's so cool, Debbie. That's awesome. Denise, I mean, see, I told you. From here, it looks like Debbie. Ah. Okay, so now, can you guys see this? No, I'm gonna roll the dice here. Can you see now how it's pretty? It looks pretty good, right? So I'm gonna scrape it one last time off the sides, kind of when I add the flour, and that's gonna be fine. And you can put in the dry ingredients all at once in this recipe, which is great. It's just the flour, the baking soda, the salt, and the baking powder, baking soda, flour, and salt. Just mix it until combined. And then we're going to work our magic. And I'm going to use this little offset spatula. If you don't have one, you can use a spoon too, okay? Again, scraping up everything. Just make sure it's all getting mixed together. Do we have any Ted Lasso fans in the audience? Or Shrinking, my newest obsession, the other show from Brett Goldstein, who's Roy Kent. He's one of the producers and writers on Shrinking, and I am obsessed. Yes, both are great, and I like Shrinking as much as I like Ted Lasso. I'm just going to say it. I love it. And I watched Ted Lasso the other night. People, I knew they were going to let it release it one night early because they were promoting the 15th yesterday. But Apple always drops their shows the night before. And I don't know about you guys, but I didn't get the notification saying Ted Lasso is out, but I knew they'd do it. And I turned it on and it was like waiting for me. It was like a reward for the obsessed people. I was very excited about it. And I was actually pretty smug about it. Okay, I'm going to point the camera down and let me get this stuff out of the way so we can get to business here. So the recipe tells you to put the streusel in the oven or in the refrigerator until you're using it. But because we're moving so quickly, I wasn't going to worry about it. Okay, I need the milk. The milk. This is 2 tablespoons of milk. And I'm going to add it in here, and it's going to thin out the batter a little bit. You could certainly still do it on the stand mixer, but I just wanted to show you here. Yeah, I thought the first Ted Lasso, I won't give anything away, but you know, they had a lot to cover in one episode. I thought they did a really nice job of kind of kicking us off. Sorry for that loud noise. Deb, if you love that character development, and I'm eating dough, don't tell. Sweet stories, but with great humor. I think you'll enjoy Shrinking. What a cast. Okay, I'm going to mix a little bit of this in. Start to just thin it out a little bit. I just don't want, again, I don't want a ton of liquid on the top. I want to kind of let some of it absorb before I add the rest. There we go. And then in goes the rest. Cleaning as I go, friends, for once in my life. Not really. Okay. Ooh, this is going to be so delicious. I can't handle it. Okay, so all this milk did was kind of just thin it out enough. It's still going to be really thick and sticky, and this is why we want a different utensil to use to kind of smooth it in the pan. So here are all the tricks I'm going to show you to kind of make this easy, because we want to put half of this batter in the pan, put half of the streusel on top of it, another layer. So this is how we're going to make this easier, okay? First of all, I didn't spray, I'm using avocado oil. I didn't spray the sides. This pan is pretty non-stick. I'm going to spray all of it, but you could brush it with butter, or if you have any other cooking spray, okay, that's just like a little extra safety. I'm going to take about half of this dough, batter. If it's cake, we call it batter, right? If it's bread, it's dough. It's really thick, so don't worry. Don't panic, my friends. That's about half. If you're really type A about these things, you could always weigh all of the batter and then pull out half if you want it to be exact. Like I said, I'm not going to ever score points for being that exacting. But watch what I'm going to teach you that is an amazing little trick. Okay, instead of just putting that straight on there, I'm going to put a little bit of the non-stick oil on it, or the avocado oil. Just going to spray it over here. So it's going to help me smooth it out better. Now, if you were really smart, you would have put this in little chunks, like 4 spoonfuls, and spread it out that way. The parchment's also non-stick, so you can see how it can just slide around, right? Here's the beauty of this recipe. It's all going to even itself out in the oven. So it's very forgiving. But like if you were wanting your streusel layer to be perfectly flat, you would have to get pretty type A about this situation, friends. You probably want to use a larger offset spatula that's the actual length of this pan, which a large one probably is. And really push it around. I'm just trying to get it in the corners so it's square, right? But it's so non-stick, it kind of escapes. It runs away. It's good, it's bad. Okay, now for the other fun part. Dun, da, da, da. This is how exacting I'll be. We're drawing a line down the middle. It's like sharing a bedroom with a sibling. You just put a line straight down at people. Fair is fair. We're going to sprinkle this evenly across, as evenly as we can. And you want those chunks of butter kind of everywhere, because that's what's going to make it soft and just melt in your mouth delicious. Honestly, I'm obsessed with this recipe. This is the 4th one I've made this week, or 3rd, messing around, testing. 4th. Yeah, 4th. I like to get it right for you folks. So here's another trick. You can press it down to even it out here if you want. Nobody cares. And that's a lot easier to do because this layer is not sticky, right? So you just want to make sure it covers it pretty well. I like to make sure that you can see bits of butter kind of everywhere. You don't want all the butter in one place because it'll be dry in some areas and then a little bit more crumbly in others. Okay, just wipe those crumbs straight onto my floor. Are we ready? How are we doing, everybody? Are we good? Okay. All right, one more. Watch, I'm going to get smarter. But you have to be really careful because if you drop it aggressively, then all of that crumble is going to come up onto your batter. And we wouldn't want that either, would we? I talk to myself and sing quite a bit. What about in the oven, Sandy? Am I forgetting what I said? Oh, and I see you haven't watched Stephanie, the Ted Lasso yet. That'll give you something fun to do tonight. It's like a whopping, it's like 46 minutes. I love that the show can be longer than traditional television shows, you know, it makes it fun. Even the 30-minute shows are closer to 30 than like the 22 that are on network television. Okay, one last little scoop because we want every last bite. And then let me spray this little spatula again with avocado oil, whatever it takes. And we'll do it all over again. Were any of you here for my electrical fire? Oh, thank you. Oh, yours is in the oven. Go, Sandy. I had an electrical fire in my kitchen over the holidays before Christmas because some water leaked down through the sink. Okay, see how this is trickier? I'm so glad it's actually not working very well. Because you guys can see what you do when things don't go your way. Just going to spray a little bit more of that avocado oil. She said the back of a spoon works really nicely for this as well. But yeah, I had an electrical fire in my kitchen underneath my sink, and it was pretty scary because I heard this huge pop, and then the whole outlet underneath it turned black, and it was a hot mess. I knew not to unplug it, but I cut the breaker, which was smart of me. And then we waited for someone to come, and it was kind of crazy. So I'm just trying to be very careful as I do my dishes and not do the same thing over again. They sealed it up, but still, I'm a little more cautious. Come on, lip sliding. There we go. There we go. I should just put avocado oil directly onto the batter. Now it's being a little bit more, or I'm just becoming bolder. I'm becoming more aggressive with my spreading skills. So if you don't have an offset little spatula like this that allows you to get down into the pan, use the back of a spoon, put a little bit of butter or nonstick spray on that, and that'll work. This is about as good as it's going to get. It's not quite to the edges, but who cares if there's extra crumble? I don't. In the edges, you know? Oh my gosh, life is good. Okay, let's do this, folks. All right, I have a lot. I'm going to start with kind of like the sandier part that doesn't look very buttery because I had some left over today and I put it on top, but I like the idea of it going down into the batter a little bit more. Don't worry, I'll spread it out. Oh my gosh, so good, so good, so good. Okay. More big chunks of butter. The really good ones I just don't love over on the edges. I want to make sure that they cover some good surface area, you know? Okay. In it goes, 350 degrees, okay? And then I'm going to set my other shelf. I'm going to show you the puff pastry before it goes in. That is going to go there. This is going to go here. Okay. So, puff pastry. Here we go, folks. I've got my, oh, there's an ice cube on the bottom of it. I'm like, what have I done? I'm going to put a piece of parchment under it right now so I don't forget to do it later. So when the baking sheet is already in the oven, it comes with the oven. So when it's full, actually, I'm going to take it out now that I think about that. I'm going to regroup. But what I am going to do right now, since this is nice and chilled, I'm going to take this. Let's really get these around the sides because the puff pastry is going to do its best to fight me and puff. I hope that's enough weight. We're going to find out. This is just a wild experiment, friends. This is why we do this. It's fun. Again, I make the mistakes so you don't have to. Okay, into the oven it goes, and then I'm going to take out that other baking sheet when I fill it. Oh, this is hilarious. It's going to puff in some areas. I need more weights. Fudge. Okay, 10 minutes. Let's see what happens to it in 10 minutes, maybe even 8. And I'm going to set my other timer for the coffee. No, hold on. 25 for the coffee cake. Okay. I'm back, and I'm going to show you my face. Hello. Okay. I am. So KQ, I'm using puff pastry. I had the wrong thing delivered to me today. So we're just doing a test, but I also baked off a raw pie shell with gluten-free pie crust. And so this is a pie crust that was already made, frozen, right? So it wasn't baked off yet. But I wanted to try gluten-free since I do so much gluten-free. And I also will tell you guys about how much egg and cheese and half and half and everything I used in this one. So this is just a traditional gluten-free pie crust, which I blind baked for about 10 minutes. And then I took the pie weights out and the parchment, and I baked it for like another 3 minutes to brown up the bottom a little bit. And then you always want to let that cool, you guys, before you put the filling in and rebake it, because if not, what's going to happen is the eggs are going to bake on the bottom and get kind of weird texturally, right? So you want to start out with a cool shell when you're adding all of these yummy things to put in it, okay? So now, oh, hi, Chrissy. Hi. So we have our coffee cake in the oven. We have one gluten-free quiche already made. We have our puff pastry, which we're pretending is regular pie dough, puffing itself in the oven, and we're going to have a laugh when it doesn't work quite right. But we are going to talk about the filling for the quiche itself. So here's what I've done so far. I worked ahead and I caramelized an onion. So this was one yellow onion that was not very big for once in my life. It was like this big. I'm looking for this, my water. So it calls for yellow onion. You could use red onion. 4 ounces of bacon or pancetta. What I really wanted was like the traditional chunks of ham that they use in France, which I love so much. I am not a ham eater, but you know, it's not pancetta. It's like cubed ham that's like a ½ inch dice, but I couldn't get my hands on that. I did try it with pancetta the other day that was diced smaller than that from Trader Joe's, and I was into it. Yeah, lardon, exactly. Today I'm using bacon. So I'm using Applewood smoked bacon, thick cut, that I got in the meat section at Whole Foods, which they delivered to me. It's probably the easiest thing to get, right? I do like thick cut bacon over the regular thin cut. You can use either. All we're trying to do here is get it a little bit crispy, right? So we're just trying to crisp it up. So I diced it. This is where I did my onions, and then I diced it and I put it in the pan. So we're going to just finish cooking this off. And then I think it'd be fun to add some greens to it because I think it'll look beautiful too. So I bought some baby kale that I'm going to just mix in with these ingredients. And then what will happen is we're going to sprinkle those on the bottom of the quiche. And then we're going to pour the egg mixture over it. And we're going to put the cheese over this as well, because if you put all of the cheese on top, it gets this kind of like bubbly surface, which I wanted to show you. In this one, I put half of the cheese down at the bottom and the rest sprinkled on top into the eggs. And so it's just a textural thing. It's totally up to you. Lori, that is not icky at all. Many of the recipes tell you to do exactly that. So the only reason I didn't do the onions in the bacon grease is because I was trying to save us some time tonight. But brilliant, you know what you're doing, my friend. Okay, so I'm going to continue on with caramelizing the bacon. Let's move this a little bit. And then You guys, there's this stream from my time in Bali because they use WhatsApp over there to communicate. And it was like 60 of us on this retreat and they're still going, which is super fun, but it's like 50 times a day. And the thread is literally probably a mile long at this point. And people keep putting their pictures in. I haven't responded, but I look and I always think something's wrong because it shows you like a stack of texts. And it's just, it's kind of like makes my heart pound a little bit, like something's wrong. What's wrong with my children? Nothing. I'm going to turn this way and up a little bit, okay, so we can converse while I'm doing this. I just want to make sure I've seen the questions. Can you caramelize the onions? Yes, absolutely, Lori. So, okay. So we're going to get these caramelizing, and then if there's a lot of, we're going to get these, we're going to render the fat off the bacon, most of it. And then if there isn't much grease, we'll just fold in the greens. Otherwise, I'll strain the bacon grease off and then just fold in the kale when it's warm. You don't really need to cook the kale much. I just did baby kale because I'm into it right now, but you could use baby spinach leaves. You could use big spinach leaves. You could use chopped big pieces of kale, whatever you prefer, okay? And then I'm going to have the cheese. I've got the half and half for us. The eggs are already in the fridge. I'm going to move this over here too. Everything else we're going to need because I want this to be for bacon. Yeah, so if I time this right, you guys, by the time I do my dishes tonight, Shrinking will have dropped a new episode because they say it comes out on Fridays, but it comes out at like 7 or 8 on Thursdays, and it notifies me on my iPhone. So we cook, we hang out, I answer questions, and then I get to watch Shrinking, and it's a beautiful life. Okay. I love the smell of bacon. Cooking, one of my favorites. I'm just going to turn this on. It's a little noisy. Oh, but boy, does this smell good. I'm sneaking a peek. Oh, go puff pastry, do your thing. So far, so good with the puff pastry. It's not like exploding. Maybe I did weigh it down enough. We're going to find out. This is going to be so tasty. I didn't put any of the yummy things in this quiche. I just did eggs, half and half, and cheese. So I also wanted to show you the recipe calls for 6 eggs and a cup of half and half, I believe, right? What I do want you to see is how high you should fill it, because depending on how much filling you use, you might not use all of this egg mixture. And if you don't, you can make another quiche or just scramble them like this or make a frittata with the leftovers. Yummy. Just always wanting to keep my eye on it in case of grease fires or anything like that, right? Bacon, the grease can be a real fire starter, literally. In fact, I'm going to turn it off while I walk over to the oven, just because I don't want to risk it flaring up while I'm looking at my puff pastry. Okay, I'm going to go take a peek. Okay. I'm going to give it 5 more minutes before I take the shell out and show you, okay? No more questions so far, okay. Let's take a look at this bacon. It's actually looking almost there. I'm just going to give it about probably less than a minute, and then I'll strain it, but I'm just gonna fold these greens into the remaining bacon fat in the pan, and the warmth of that will just kind of wilt them down, and we'll mix it with the onions, and then we'll add the bacon to that. Yum! Let's see how it tastes. Delicious. Okay. Let's be smart, Amanda. Sometimes, you guys. Okay, there's probably a tablespoon of bacon and fat in there. Let's just use it. Who cares? Yummy. Ooh, yummy. It's just going to wilt down. This is going to wilt down to practically nothing. So I completely cut the heat on this, okay? But watch what will happen. Just mix it all up. If it wilts like I think it will, we won't even need to turn the heat back on. But if it's not wilting much, then we will. Maybe just for like a minute or less. This is going to be delicious. And then what I want to do is I'm going to sprinkle the onions and the bacon together so that with the baby kale, so it's all kind of like one mixture. Or you could layer it in the quiche. I don't think it would really matter. Oh, my trick to soften butter. Thank you. Okay, so a lot of people just leave it out overnight. It's been kind of too cold here for that to work. So I put it in my microwave, put it on a plate. I keep it in its paper, and I put my microwave on half power, so like 50%, and I do it at 15-second intervals. For the coffee cake, Lori, it was half of the batter, half of the crumble part, half of the batter, half of the crumble part. So that's what I do for the butter, and usually that softens it without it melting. Because all you want to be able to do, it's like a ripe avocado. You just want to be able to squeeze it. Squeeze it. And then you're set, right? Okay, so those greens are going to be amazing and delicious and take up some space in that quiche. But I probably want, here's why I'm going to add the bacon back in. Because this is so salty, what's going to happen to the greens, right? The other night when I used pancetta and a lot of Gruyere and I seasoned the eggs, there was a lot of salt. And so before I add any salt to the greens, let's do that. I seasoned the onion some. So we're going to mix all of this together because we want to make sure that the salt level in all of these things combined is where we want it. So I'm teaching you something along the way. Combine your ingredients before you put them in for that reason. You want to taste them together. So let's do that. And then I'm going to put them in a different bowl so they can cool down a little bit. This is also allowing me to break up the onions so that they're spread out. Because they get so... You can tell when I'm only cooking for myself because my hands are in everything. So don't worry. No one else is eating this quiche with me, I don't think. Or it's Sunny and her family, and they just don't care. We've spread each other's germs enough over the past few years. I think the funny part is neither one of our families got COVID from the other, even though we were together quite a bit. Oh, smoked Gouda. Oh my gosh, Denise, that's a great thing. I've never tried that. I'm going to try that for a House of Haas hack, and if it works, I'm going to give you credit. Okay. Oh, puff pastry. I got to show you what it did. See, you can run, but you can't hide from what it is. It's hilarious. Like it puffed up. Can you see how it's like puffy right here? Let me take the beans off. This is hilarious. It's like, I am what I am, lady. Now it's settling down again, but it's like, don't tell me what to do and be. I'm puff pastry. Can you see how it's like a little puffy in the middle? That's just what it's going to do. The good news about this is that it's going to be, it'll cook more underneath than like a regular pie crust would. So I'm just going to let this chill out for a little bit and flatten out and cool. And then I'm going to fill it with the other ingredients, okay? You're going to at least get to see like what the assembled one should look like. Let's taste all of this yumminess together. I'm going to put this in a little bowl for us. Actually, let's put it in this. Then we can taste the gluten-free quiche. I didn't want to tell you the label of the crust if it's terrible. So if it tastes okay, I'll tell you what it is. But I didn't want to give them a bad reputation if it wasn't tasty. Okay. Alrighty. I need more water. Anybody need a break? My phone notified me there's a new episode of Shrinking available. It happened, Chrissy. See, I bet mine too. Let's just check for kicks. This is our timeout. A new episode of Shrinking is now available on Apple TV Plus. See, that's, I think it should be my reward for doing all my dishes. It's my son's high school is saying, Charlie Haas was marked absent today. Do I call back and say, that's because he was at the NCAA basketball tournament, and I fully endorse him playing hooky from school today. Like, I don't call my kids in for much, but since they got to go, I was there. Lori, did you hear about the Arizona Wildcats? Then let's talk about the puff pastry. The puff pastry shrinks. It does. And so the good thing about weighing it down like that is that it keeps it from shrinking up as much as it typically would, right? This is why you would not want to use puff pastry for this and why it was a total mistake that it was delivered to me. So pie crust is pie crust for a reason. It's flaky and it can break easily, but it doesn't shrink up like that. Plus, with pie crust, you can kind of like stick it to the sides and it stays there. It doesn't come in too much. So this is kind of just an experiment since that's all I had. So in a perfect world, you would have pie crust that was more like this, that didn't taste gluten-free, but in that pan, and it would look amazing and taste amazing and everything would be great, right? So we're just dealing with what we've been given tonight. It was amazing. Thank you. What happened with what, Lori, since I was talking about too many things? Are we talking about the puff pastry or are we talking about television? Oh, we're talking about Arizona. I'm not saying a word. I'm not. Sorry, Lori's a wildcat as well. I keep it to myself, people. Okay, I'm going to taste a little bite of this and we're going to see. But before I do that, I'm just going to use my fork literally to mix the onions in better. And kind of spread them out because, as you know, probably when you caramelize onions and shallots, they just kind of clump into one big clump. And that's great if you're just eating them by themselves. I mean, bring it on. Or piling them high on a burger. There will be extra egg filling, I'm sure. I'm going to make a frittata with this combination tomorrow. That is so delicious. It's crazy. Okay. Here's what we're going to do. We are going to get the eggs out for this. We are going to get all of this whisked together and combined. And I'm going to show you how to assemble the tart. And then I'm going to taste this little gluten-free one. But let me get the eggs out of the fridge. If anybody needs a break, please feel free. Move about the cabin. Speaking of moving about the cabin, Have any of you ever been on a plane for 17 hours before? That was the farthest I'd ever flown. And I thought I was going to lose my mind. I've been to Europe before, but it's been a really long time. So I was like, oh, that's like 10 hours or 11 hours. So the fact it was 17 from San Francisco to Singapore, and it was the night where we were having lightning storms in the Bay Area. So we sat on the runway for 2 hours before we took off. So, oh, sorry, Lori. Yeah, the boys are there with their dad. And I was like, oof. Lori, remind me, was the Heston pan? Oh, yes, exactly. Yay. I'm so glad. You guys, Lori was so kind, and she purchased a Heston pan from me to help raise money for, oh my gosh, isn't it sad that that feels like 3 tragedies ago, for the earthquake victims in Turkey and Syria. And so, Lori, thank you. We raised hundreds of dollars, actually, like over 400, I think, at the end of the day. So thank you so much, my friend. And I'm glad you liked it. I'm really glad you liked it. So long time ago to England, but you were young. Yeah, it's true. You can handle anything when you're young. But I was really afraid that I was going to, like, I don't know, freak out that I was on the plane for that long. And you realize, I think because you're just over the ocean the entire time, it's kind of strange to think about. So we must all disassociate at some point, right? Which I did. Okay, by the way, this is 6 eggs. There's no way we're going to use this much. You could probably cut this recipe to 4 eggs and 2/3 of a cup of half and half and be fine. But yeah, I kind of settled in. I don't sleep very well on planes, so I didn't really sleep, which is crazy. And then since my eyesight is going bad, it was really hard for me to read, but I tried to start writing a new book, like not a biography, but kind of like a book of stories. And that helped pass the time a little, but it's kind of a trip. And then I just watched that map of where we were. Oh, yay, Deb. You know what? I made those last week, the chocolate coconut brownies. And my son said, these are so mid, Mom. He doesn't like coconut oil, but I watched him go back to them time after time. And I put a bunch of chocolate chips in them. They were so good. I'm so glad you like them, Deb. Hooray. They're so ooey gooey. Okay, so here is the half and half along with eggs. If anything, just use the ratios for this, right? So you could use 3 eggs and half a cup of half and half. And then I've got 1.5 cups shredded Gruyere. You can use any kind of cheese that you like, totally up to your taste buds. I'm just getting my things and staring at my coffee cake. Ooh, it's looking pretty. Okay, so here are a couple things that we know to be true. So this is what happened, and it's what Denise was saying. I think it was Denise who said this. See how it shrank down on the sides? So even though I rolled it out to the top, look at how much it came in. So that means, my friends, that the eggs can fall over the sides really easily, which is not good. So we're just not going to use that many. And that's fine. But if you were using an actual pie crust, you'd probably be able to get almost twice as much liquid in there. This makes me want to save half of this or some of it for tomorrow. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to sprinkle this over the bottom. But see, this is like so low. It's probably going to spill, and we're going to be fine with that. I'm going to get over it, folks, because this is about showing you technique and showing you what to do when things don't go your way. Because you know what? I get more questions about fixing food than anything. And I think it's because people think, like, if you mess up, like, things are ruined. People don't really care that much. I know that when you're the cook, and if you have any perfectionistic qualities whatsoever, it's really hard to let things go when they're not perfect. But my point is always the same. If it tastes pretty good, people are usually happy, and they are so thrilled to be invited into your home. So if it's edible, don't sweat it. It's one thing if you've like burned the entire dinner and people are just eating it to be nice to you. And all I'm saying is go easy on yourself. It's probably not as bad as you think, and it's probably better than you think. Okay, I used all of that, obviously. I'm going to sprinkle in a little of the cheese because I want to make sure there's cheese in it. Because I don't think I'm going to get more than Well, let's see how much egg filling I get. I want to make sure this cheese is like, let's just press it down like a pizza. Woo-hoo-hoo. This is going to be so flippin' delicious. I'm going to pig out and put my feet up while I watch Shrinking tonight. Hooray, hooray. Okay, I'm going to make a little moat here with the piece of bacon. Maybe that's going to help. All right, instead of pouring it from here, that's not a smart choice on my part. I'm going to, oops, that drawer just bounced back at me. Do that. So I have 2.5 cups of the egg and half and half mixture. So far I've used about a cup of the cheese, or maybe 3/4 of a cup of the cheese. And so let's very carefully pour some in. Phyllo is the base, same kind of thing. Denise, are you asking cheese on the bottom underneath the vegetables? It might be a little bit weird because it will melt into the crust. And so it would taste good. It'll just change the texture of it all. Oops, see how it's coming up to the sides of this crust. And yes, I hear the coffee cake going, beedoo, beedoo. This is a huge balancing act. I think I'm gonna stop right there because I can see it coming out the sides. Okay, I'm gonna switch this. I'm gonna put this in the oven and I'm gonna check on our coffee cake. Oh, it needs a couple minutes. Let's give the coffee cake 5 minutes. And then the quiche, we're gonna have to rename this instead of quiche. Let's call it an egg tart, so that we lower people's expectations with my puff pastry pie shell, right? It's not really looking fluffy like a quiche. Oh, the other thing I did this week, which was a super fun test, which you can do with pie shell. This is when I got a leaky one, is I used a springform pan, because what I wanted to do, you guys, is build a quiche that's like this thick, right? I didn't have enough dough. And so I put the pie dough in and I pushed it up the sides, and I just didn't have enough to make it go higher than that. So it was really cool and really delicious. And you need to bake the crust by itself for a solid 15 to 20 minutes to get that to work, but it'd be really fun to do. So if any of you decide to do that, you could use all of this filling for sure. I used more than I thought. 2.5, I used 1.5 cups actually. All right, so while we're waiting for that coffee cake to finish up, I mean, I can certainly eat more of that other coffee cake in front of you. Yeah, Denise, you just rename it. You call it an egg tart with winter vegetables, baby kale, caramelized onion, and call the bacon something fancier. You could just use prosciutto or pancetta instead. That's all. You just rebrand, right? Okay, I want to try it like this. Let's just see, and I'll show you. So this is a traditional 9-inch pie shell, and I used 4 eggs and 2/3 of a cup of half and half, and about 3/4 of a cup of Gruyere. So I just wanted to show you what the yield on that was instead of filling it up all the way. I want to cut the ugly piece. I want to cut the ugly crust. So I've allowed this to cool completely. I'm going to give the crust some props for just, besides breaking off the sides there, at least it's sturdy. Again, no gluten. Let me get a plate. Bowl plate. Okay. You could totally eat this with your fingers. That's what I was saying. The advantage of a crust, right? I'm going to eat it with my fingers. Here's the deal. The crust doesn't taste bad. It's just brittle. The filling's delicious. The half and half just gives it like a lighter fluffier quiche-like texture. But that's really good. That's really delicious. I like it. So you can certainly use a gluten-free crust. I would not go to the trouble of making a gluten-free crust myself for this. That's just a big old hassle. But as much as I've been making fun of gluten-free crust, let's just look at this coffee cake again. This just happens to be a recipe that does not require all-purpose flour to be tender and delightful, because you're not trying to keep the proteins together, right? It's fine if it falls apart. And texturally, there's enough sour cream in it and yumminess in it to be absolutely out of this world. And so, hooray us. I'm just going to get this out of our way so we can just stare at this darn coffee cake while we wait for the other things to bake off, and you can ask me any questions you may have. Anyone? I'm just going to eat a little part of it. I love that you guys say hi to each other. It makes me so happy. You guys have to see my reaction because it's so delicious. The streusel in the middle is just like perfect. You really don't need fruit in this. It's definitely sweet enough without a glaze. If you wanted to do a glaze, I would do confectioner sugar with maybe like, God, see, I don't even know if I'd want lemon juice, because with the pumpkin spice, not so much. I really don't think you need it. KQ for the puff pastry, which again, let me repeat, I would not use it for this recipe. I par baked it for like 13 to 15 minutes, okay? It's definitely not the right thing to do. The ratio of topping and center to the cake was so good. I wish I had a cup of coffee. You know, it might taste a little thin, Chris. I almost wanted to try it with alternative milks, like a nut milk that was unsweetened, but I was like, I'm going into weird territory there. It'll probably, I would use less. It would be thin. So I would use less. And you could probably, yeah, it's just going to change the texture a bit. I would use less, and it might not be as fluffy. Okay, let's see here, folks. It still needs a few minutes. I think it needs at least 5 more. I must have set it for closer to 20 minutes. I must have set the timer for closer to 20 minutes on the coffee cake instead of 30. And that's why it's taking longer, because I timed it the other day. So this makes sense. This is amazing. If you do it in a loaf pan, I think this is an 8 by 12. I mean, a 4 by 8. No, hold please. Let's measure. Who are we kidding? It's like a 4.5 width, considering I ate by like 9 probably. Yeah. 4.5 by 9. Because I ate a lot of this. Oh, you guys can't see it. Yeah. But it works great in a loaf pan. I would simply, you let it go for about 40 minutes or until a toothpick comes out clean in the center. Whereas when you use the 8 by 8 pan, it's closer to 30, 35 minutes. Okay. So absolutely delicious. Speaking of brunch, I just had you do berries and mint on the side, which is just kind of a classic, you know. You can sprinkle a little bit of granulated sugar or brown sugar on the berries, and it's delicious. You don't have to use mint. It's just to make it look pretty. Add a little something to it. But if you were wanting to entertain people around 10 or 11 in the morning, you could make the coffee cake entirely the day before, wrap it in plastic wrap tightly, leave it at room temperature. You could put it in the fridge. It's just going to get a little bit denser. So if you like that, it's absolutely fine. You could do everything for the quiche. Well, actually, a lot of people like quiche the next day, which I don't complain about that either. You could put it in the fridge and then take it out and let it come to room temp. or you could just have your ingredients like cooked off and sauteed and ready to go, and have your cheese shredded and your eggs out like I had and everything measured, and then just put it into the crust that morning. Like you could even roll out your pie dough, put it in the shell and keep it in the fridge overnight, and then just put it in the oven that morning and then bake it up from there if you want a warm quiche, right? So that would work. The berries are something that you can just do at the last minute. That's why I like it too. You could always round things out with like Greek yogurt or any kind of yogurt that you like with berries on the side, and let people sprinkle granola over it, or just do the berries and the yogurt if you're looking for other options. But I think something warm, yummy, egg-like, and then something baked is always good, and then something fresh fruit to round it out, and you're in business, right? And since most of it can be done ahead of time, it's just such a fun way to entertain. So when people ask me for ideas for like March Madness or football Sundays, I'm like, why not make things that you just want to enjoy all the time, right? And let people come over and hang out. So if it's brunch time, make brunch. If it's, you know, afternoon, whatever, I tend to do things like braises or chilies, or things where people can just come back and help themselves to more. Big salads on the side, you know. Chia seed pudding would be absolutely delightful. Yeah, it would be great. I actually put a chia seed pudding recipe in my new book that's coming out October 24th. It's official. We don't have the cover. Maybe they decided the cover without me. When I was in Bali, they sent me a thing saying, oh, we still haven't landed the cover. I was like, that's funny. I thought we had, but apparently not. So we'll see what happens there, but I'm kind of excited. Okay, I am having a hard time finding raw sugar that isn't as fine as regular sugar, and it doesn't dissolve as well. Okay, this is so interesting that you ask this question, Deb. Are you saying too that you're looking for, Lori, you might be able to pre-order now. I'll look that up after this. But the sugar debate is really interesting. I have some in my cabinet that I'll show you. Natural cane sugar. It is not as fine as like the C&H cane sugar that is white and that dissolves so easily because it's so fine. So Deb, I go back and forth on this. I started trying to write recipes with the natural raw sugar, but it does not break up the same way. When you're trying, and I actually, in my new book, I was like, do I just call for like white granulated sugar so people know if they want it to work like it's supposed to work, you use that? Or do I tell people that I use the new cane sugar that's natural, that's bigger crystals and doesn't dissolve as easily? So you're actually totally speaking my language. They aren't always the same. The thing I think where you run into problems, that's why I use regular like C&H, super refined granulated sugar in this recipe, because I didn't want to throw all of you off. So you have to let it beat longer, or I have a secret. Whoa. I still don't think it's ready, but I want to show it to you. Sorry, I'm coming right back, guys. I'm just setting the timer. And I can see some egg leaked out of that tart shell. Oh, that was going to be the other moral of the story. Just use pie dishes. Don't use the quiche pans or the tart pans. They just, unless your pastry is like super thick everywhere, it's not a rookie thing. Use one. This is coming out almost clean. I would probably bake it 5 more minutes if, I am going to bake it for 5 more minutes. I just wanted to show you what it looks like, okay? So let me put it back in, and then we'll keep talking. Let me show you the sugar that you're talking about. Because I have it right here as an example. It's so funny you brought that up. Okay. You're going to make me want to do a video on this. Okay. Okay, so Deb, that's so funny because I developed the brownie recipe with natural cane sugar, and then people get confused because they think I'm talking about sugar in the raw, which are those really big crystals that have been around for so long to like put in your iced tea, right? Which I love that. But here's what someone told me to do, and I did it. and it turned it into like powdered sugar. Put it in your blender or food processor and grind it up a little bit more. Okay, so this is the best I've found. So this must be the Safeway organics. O is Safeway, right? Because Whole Foods is a different looking O. I think this is the Safeway brand. I've only said it 50 times. But it's darker because they don't bleach it and do scary things to it. And the crystals are a little bit bigger. Okay, and then you can tell this is ground so finely, the CNH, it almost like dissolves in your fingers, but you can see, yeah, you can see the difference in color with my new camera. Fancy. And this is just a lot finer. Then there are some, I think Whole Foods brand is thicker than this. Yeah, Whole Foods is $3.65. Is that their organic or is that just their inexpensive? I don't even know. They've changed so much. So you're absolutely right. But now I'm going to recommend this one because this is the finest I've seen in comparison to CNH. So the O Organics, here's why I get it confused, because I'll show you. I love this stuff with you all. Yeah, okay, you're right. So the 365 came out when they changed to Amazon. And so the 365 label has organic marked now. They used to have an O, I thought, on them too. And then Safeway kind of knocked them off and made that logo. So it's very confusing. Okay, so gluten-free baking. Stephanie, I love Bob's Red Mill gluten-free. I think they call it baking flour because his regular all-purpose flour that's gluten-free has chickpea flour in it, garbanzo bean flour, and it tastes kind of savory. So if you buy the regular Bob's Red Mill and you taste it and you're like, why does my chocolate chip cookie taste a little like funky? It's because of the chickpea. So if you're doing savory things with it, it's delicious. But I always make sure I look for the one that's for like baking and pastry or whatever. That's Bob's Red Mill. I love that brand. And then today I used a different one. Oh, because frankly, I was price shopping too, price comparing. King Arthur makes some fantastic ones. And so, yeah, so I used King Arthur today and I used it in this one right here, in the one I did in the loaf pan. And I'm using it on the one in the oven as well. And so I'm really happy with the flavor and the texture and everything. So you want to look for these one-to-one substitutions for wheat flour. And then Cup for Cup, which is one of the first ones that came onto the market, made by the people at the French Laundry restaurant. They might have taken the milk out, but I don't love milk powder in my blends. Okay, this one's primarily rice flour, which is common. And then brown rice flour, sorghum, yes, tapioca, yep, potato, cellulose, xanthan gum, vitamin and mineral blend. Okay, sure. So yeah, I like it. So King Arthur, and they have a ton of gluten-free recipes on their website. King Arthur's an amazing brand in general. So they have a ton of amazing gluten-free recipes, a ton of amazing baking recipes in general. And I really like them. And it's a little less expensive than Bob's Red Mill, but I like Bob's Red Mill the best. Or let's just say it's what I've been drawn to because I like Bob's Red Mill products. And they were the first ones to figure out how to sell oats gluten-free, because oats are naturally free of gluten, but they get processed in factories where wheat is processed. And so when you run it through the same equipment, it can get coated in wheat. Isn't that funny? So if you are gluten sensitive and you ever eat oatmeal and you feel horrible, it's probably because it was processed in a plant where they process wheat. So Bob went ahead and like got different equipment in a different place and started making gluten-free oats, which is great. You like King Arthur one-to-one? Great. Oh, I'm so glad you like that, Deb. And I see St. Patrick's Day recipes. You know what's so funny? I was thinking about this, KQ, because we have an email coming out tomorrow. And for like the Friday 5 through my website. And I think that we put up, Lori, you'll appreciate this if you're still on there, that flipping cauliflower and kale soup that is so good, I can't explain it. It doesn't sound that exciting, but it's bright green and it is so delicious. I could eat it every day of my life. And I'm not even a soup person. So I think we put that on. I was thinking because both of my kids will be around this weekend. And I don't know, it just feels special because my son's been back at school for a couple months. And so he's home this weekend for basketball and then he's home next week for spring break, or like he's back here in 4 days, right? But I was like, should I do something kind of over the top fun, like green Rice Krispie treats, or everybody doing them with Lucky Charms? Have you seen that? It's pretty funny. But then also, I'm Welsh, I'm not Irish, but for some reason, if you go to katiekirk.com, her website, and you put my name in, I have a ton of recipes on there, and I've done brisket with cabbage. I did a St. Patrick's Day menu that was delicious. And so for the classic recipes, you can find them there. And then what else will I do? It's so funny because so often I cook ahead for the holidays for work that I forget to actually do anything on the holiday itself. Are any of you doing anything? Let's see. New favorite. Oh, the saute mushrooms and put that on top with some roasted cauliflower bits and pine nuts. Oh, Lori, that sounds phenomenal. The mushrooms sound great. Everything my kids don't like. They don't like that cauliflower and kale soup, and they don't like mushrooms. So that would be perfect for me when I'm home alone. I made a carrot soup this week just because I had homemade chicken stock and the carrots were looking so sad. But guess what? It didn't matter. They tasted amazing. So I took some really sad looking carrots and all I did was saute an onion, diced. I added some chopped up carrots. I didn't even peel them. That's awesome, Lori. And then chicken stock. I didn't even add garlic. I should have added garlic. And then I pureed it all and added some lime juice. And it was so good. It was crazy. I've had it like 3 times this week. Okay, I'm just going to go spy one last time on our coffee cake. Oh, yeah. It's good. Let's see. It's not jiggly. Woo! I don't want to let out all the heat for the quiche. The quiche is actually looking really pretty. Reset. Let's just change this timer to, sorry guys, back and forth, back and forth. I'm guessing that in 6 minutes it might look good. That our quiche might be good in 6 minutes. Here's our coffee cake. I just don't want it jiggling at all, and it's not. It's just nice and happy. Let's do this. Oh, Diana, okay. You guys are so sweet. If I've answered everyone's questions, I'm going to look up the book information for you. It's so weird when you find out your book is available for pre-sale and they don't tell you. It's on Thrift Books, and it might be on Amazon, but without a cover yet. And so let's just Google Amazon. To answer your question, I'm going to answer it in the best way I know how, Diana. Open. There's a person named Amanda Haas who does cosplay. Now, the question is, and her book came out the same day as my last book, which was hilarious. So she's all dressed up in like, I don't know, Star Trek stuff. Where's the cover? Is there a, oh my God, did they go? Are you seeing the same cover I'm seeing with the tacos on the front? This is so hilarious, you guys. This trips me out. Like, they don't tell me that this is happening. Homemade Simple. I wrote back and I told them it needed to be this cover over. They had like a dip board, like crudité, but I was like, there's barely any cooking on the crudité board. Like, why would you want to make that? That is so funny. I guess they, I told them they should tone down the Ayesha Curry, forward by Ayesha Curry. You know, you get somebody famous to write the forward and they show it off so much. And I think last time it was like kind of embarrassing for her too, that they put it in such big letters, but she's fabulous. And then Katie Couric wrote a blurb for me, Jen Hatmaker, Nom Nom Paleo, of course. Ayesha wrote the forward, and Jennifer Garner. That's the last one that's coming in, friends. Fingers crossed. She's actually, we've DM'd directly, and she's so delightful. She's just been busy filming movies and doing things like that. But I mean, come on, who doesn't love Jennifer Garner? So, wow. Okay, so here's my book, friends. There you go. So, Diana, pre-order it where you want to pre-order it. I don't know if it's on other booksellers yet. What's popular to do now is give people different options on your website when you go to have people pre-order. There are many rumors that, because at the end of the day, I've never said this out loud. This is my 4th cookbook. I want to make the New York Times bestsellers list, people. Not going to lie. I really, really want to. And it's all a terrible game. And it's all about pre-ordering. A lot of people think it's about how many are pre-ordered on Amazon, which doesn't feel very fair. No one knows what the formula is. But if you want to order at a smaller bookstore to support them, what I'll do on my own website is to give you options. So Amazon, Barnes and Noble, I don't know if it'll be at Target, and then it'll take you to a website that has more local options for you. And they're supposed to all count towards sales. Who knows? Here's the other thing though. I don't know if you guys are noticing, like Amazon got us all to come in and gave us all those books for like half price. And now they're charging what everybody else charges. And we're all hooked on their free shipping, myself included. So it pisses me off that they've suckered us all and that they probably own the pre-sale New York Times bestsellers list game too. So I do this. Whenever I'm in my local bookstores, I go in and I try to buy books that I want. And then if I'm trying to order something to support someone and I know they don't have it, like for pre-sale, I'll do it on Amazon. I'm also going to try to do some signings in local bookstores that matter. So in San Francisco, of course, maybe I'll get one in New York. I'm planning maybe to come to Nashville, LA. We haven't really thought about it yet, but order from wherever makes you happy, and I thank you. The other thing is, if you order it, save your receipt. Chrissy, Vegas would be super fun, actually. We should actually talk about that. Make my friend Michael Mina throw us a party. What was I saying about the book, the signings, places, pre-sale? I don't know. But Fenna, you're in Philly, you're Philly area, right? You know what's funny? I've never been to Philadelphia. I would love to go to Philadelphia. New York makes sense because I think, yes, thank you, Sandy. Save the receipt. Save the receipt because if you pre-order my book, you'll get entered to win a ton of stuff from me. This is how I also get people to pre-order. Like I'm going to try to hit up Traeger for a new grill, like big prizes. Okay. And if you are the kind of person who lives near me or somehow can get me a gazillion books, I will sign them for your friends for holiday gifts. I mean, it comes out October 24th. So unless they fall off the boat, literally on the way back from China, I can get them. I would sign them and ship them back to you. And you could do a gazillion for holiday stuff. Okay. So you can even have them sent to my house. You tell me how many you want, and I swear to you the second they show up. And that being said, I think I get like 25, maybe 50 free ones that I'm supposed to send to like fancy PR people. Yeah, I'll probably have to use them all. I was thinking about the fact that I could just sign those for people early, and then when your ordered ones come to me, then we're all square, right? Seattle would be amazing. I love Seattle. I don't get there enough. Let's look at our quiche, friends. It's the moment of truth. Oh, she's a beauty. Wow. Okay, so this is going to answer Chris. This is what happened with just that little, like, look at how puffy and gorgeous. It's going to settle down, but we wouldn't get that with skim milk. It wouldn't get quite so fluffy. This is a masterpiece. Is this very warm? I'm treating my cooktop like my cooling rack tonight. But really you'd want to, the egg leaked underneath enough to like, the egg leaked enough to like make it stuck to the thing, but it's so pretty. I don't care. Oh my gosh, we saved it. I just want to go back. Oh, Terrain is phenomenal. My friend helped start Terrain. Terrain is owned by Anthropology, right? And are they based there, Denise? Do you know anybody there? So yes, save your receipts because you're going to get entered to win mega prizes. You might also get extra content from me, like 10 cooking videos or extra recipes and fun stuff. So make sure, even if it's on Amazon, just write down like your transaction number or save something, because it's so weird that they don't ever really like send you. I guess they're better about sending you receipts now, but I always delete them since it's all digital. Okay, Denise, that's your assignment. That'd be so fun. How far is Philly from New York? How, like, if I took a train? That's what most people do, right? A couple hours? But I'll definitely be in New York because if I'm lucky enough, I'll be back on national television promoting it. It might happen here at my house, though. And if that's the case, it might happen this summer. And so that's great for pre-sales. But if it's not this summer, then I would go back right around the book launch time. So we'll see what happens. Come to Seattle. Yeah, isn't it crazy? On Amazon, $35 now. It's no longer a bargain. But what they reserve the right to do is when they see sales and when the books come in stock at the beginning, when they actually come in stock, they'll slash the prices. And so then they just like elbow out the competition as well. You know, like they're pretty savvy folks. They're pretty flippin' savvy. I mean, and they're running the world. The story, yeah, the cover. I'm so glad you found it, Lori. Thank you for reporting back to me on that, because I was really, the other cover was so beautiful. In fact, I could show it to you. I wish I had the manuscript somewhere, but I will show it to you what the other option was. We've changed it so many times that I'm really happy he went with my last request, because I just can't rationalize. Like, it's called Homemade Simple. I'm like teaching you how to make homemade food easily, and it's like a dip and some cut up veggies. I just don't think it was, that recipe reflects what I think Homemade Simple really means. So hooray for us. Books are magic in New York City. Okay, where is that? I'm curious. Canada. Caroline, let's talk. All roads in my life seem to be leading to Calgary for some reason. And I think I've said Vancouver, I know. I have never been. I'd really like to go to Montreal. I've never been to Toronto. But do you think people in Calgary would get excited about me coming to town? Let's just get in here with this quiche. I can't handle it. It looks so pretty. Oh my gosh. I should take a picture, you guys, though, for my website for real. And then if any of you have to go, I completely understand. We have 14 minutes left officially, but it's fun to just hang out and mess around. I just dumped some coffee cake overboard. Oh my God, my son Connor's gonna flip out tomorrow when he comes home and finds this coffee cake. He's spilling everything. I'm trying to create a surface for photography here. And Chrissy, you absolutely made my night telling me that Shrinking was already out. I am obsessed with that show. And I love shows where you want to flip from character to character and you don't care which story you're following, because they're all so good. Like, all of the plots, all of the developments are so good. I'm reading this. Lori, I like that. Thank you. You and Vicki. Carroll Gardens in Brooklyn and Brooklyn Heights. I've heard about that area. So, and then Book Larder, yes, that's a big one, Jessica, or a fan favorite, I should say, of so many. Okay, I'm just going to try to take a picture. I'm going to show you guys what I'm doing. I don't want to leave you out. Oh, you know what's going to come in handy right now, friends? My fish spatula. You know how I'm always telling you, this is my favorite tool? It's going to, oh, I just pulled the egg right up off of this. Da, 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 da. Hold on, I'm going to move the camera down. Don't you worry. Oh my goodness, it's beautiful. Let's take a picture of it for my site. And we'll put it on. It's kind of hard because you get to see me do this in real time, friends. Then you're going to be like, I was there for that. You can see in the background the books that my computer is propped up on. But then I can crop in on that. Then let's just do one. Wait, that's we want portrait. Oh yeah. Beautiful. And then she's a beauty. Wow. Okay, so this is still warm. Ooh, look at that though. Puff pastry, you didn't disappoint actually. This is still really warm, so I'm gonna be really stupid, but I just want to take this to the end. Oh, Lori, I'm so happy to hear that. Arch Estrada Bookstore in Greenpoint, Brooklyn or Greenpoint? Oh, well, that would be fun. I'd love to. I like doing cooking demos. A lot of authors hate them. I think they're super fun. It makes me feel safe to be behind the cooktop, less exposed. Okay, this is like a puff pastry pizza quiche. No, I liked my other word for it better. What do we call it? An egg tart? Okay, this is still too hot, but we don't care. We're getting down to business. Oh my goodness. Okay, you guys. I have to call Sunny, my partner in crime here, and tell her that this is available. Yes, it has gluten, and yes, I'm trying it. It needs to cool more just to firm up. Oh my gosh, so good. It's so good. Sorry that the camera is messed up. Lori, I'm glad you said that the camera is better. I think the light is so much better. However, I do need to get to 2 cameras so you guys can see down. The struggle is the person who I'm only here by myself. Caitlin, amazing Caitlin, moved far away. She lives like 2 hours from me now. So it doesn't work for her to come over and shoot with me. So I need to get more help or figure it out. So you guys, this isn't nearly as fluffy. This is more like tart-like status, I feel like. But it worked in a pinch. So, oh well that they sent me puff pastry. Isn't this amazing? So we figured it out, right? And now with the leftover egg and half, I'm going to go make myself a frittata tomorrow with more baby kale, more cheese. Oh, I have more bacon. I'm just going to redo this, but without a crust, and it's going to be delicious. So anything else if you guys have missed? In conclusion, we talked about brunch. We made our gluten-free coffee cake. You can make it with regular flour if you'd like. I had to use this puff pastry instead of a regular pie crust, and it worked just fine. You can serve berries with this, and you would have the perfect brunch. I'm doing a retreat in Bali in 1 year. If you want to join us, you're on my mailing list already. We'll send you an opportunity to sign up. I'm doing private event classes, corporate classes on House of Haas now. So if you're interested, you can email us. I don't know how many I'm going to book. And it sounds crazy if you're trying to like book for the holidays or whatever, but you might want to book sooner than later, or we'll send you the information on it at least because I can only do so many days in a year. And I think with the book coming out, that's going to be interesting. I'll probably do some private events in cities around the book tour that like people could hire me for, right? I'm just thinking that through still. So if you have any special requests of classes, like if you want to do it online for your friends and family, do it for a certain event in your life, or you work for a company where you need to do something fun to team build, let us know. We're your people. We'd have so much fun doing it. And I'll do those on Zoom so everyone can see each other, right? When you're team building like that, I think it's important. So tonight's menu, love it. Love spending time with all of you again. I think I'm supposed to be back here on Saturday for just like a fun Q&A. I should take a poll and see if you guys want me to do that this weekend or if you want me to wait a week. I know we've sent out the calendar of most of the classes for this year already. I wanted you guys to have those dates so you can mark them. If anything, I'm going to be adding classes in addition to those dates, okay? So I just wanted you to have them marked for the rest of the year. And then you know what you're up against, right? And we'll just start doing that now from here on out. I just really like to be able to plan for everybody. So if I ever have to change it, it will be because of something big that got in the way that we couldn't control. But for the most part, I think these dates are going to stick, which I'm thrilled about. So let me know if there are any other topics you want to hear. I know, Chrissy, you sent me some requests, and I'm thinking about how to work those into a class. And we're going to have some fun together, okay? So everybody have a lovely evening. And as always, thank you for supporting House of Haas. Next time, there's going to be a sign back here that's branded House of Haas. Get excited. I am. Okay, everybody, have a great night. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything. Oh, I'm so glad, Lori. Oh, you're so welcome, KQ. You guys are the best. Thank you, thank you. Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Denise. Thank you, new friends. So happy you're here. I'll see you later. Bye. Let's see how. It's been a while. You know what I say every time. How do I end my broadcast? Okay, here we go. Bye.